Hello, everyone. Joe Healy here with Missouri Valley Conference Baseball, Rawlings first pitch segment with Valparaiso head baseball coach Brian Schmack. Going to talk about where he's at with his team so far. His team fighting through some adverse weather, trying to get games in over the weekend. Obviously, this time of year in the Missouri Valley, where you maybe you've been on the road a little bit, you're looking to sneak in some home games. It's obviously a little bit dicey this time of year because it's warming up, but not really, only sort of. So his team dealing with that right now. But first off, before anything else, Coach, I appreciate you joining us today.
Yeah, my pleasure. It's good to talk to you for sure.
Let's start there with the stuff with the weekend. You guys had to move things around because of some bad weather. You got a couple games in at UIC, uh, doubleheader on Friday against Niagara last Friday. Better than nothing, I have to assume, being able to get out there and play at least a couple.
Yeah, it's two northern teams trying to play baseball games, and we got bold and tried to schedule at home. And because the last couple of years they've been favorable, but then you get hit by a little bit of snow and things go awry. So fortunately, we were enough to get able to get to UIC and play a couple games in less than desirable weather. But you got guys outside competing, and that's what we're here to do. So it was fun to play those games.
Yeah, first game didn't go your team's way, but bounced back in the second game to get a win. I imagine you had to like how your team showed fight there and bounced back and got that win the second into the doubleheader to gain something out of it.
Yeah, completely a strange game. Like Lockwood's been really good the first couple of weekends, and the third weekend, there he was just everything was elevated. Right, wind was blowing out 20 miles an hour. It didn't help, but one of those situations where he just left balls up and he got hit hard, and we probably had some of the worst collective at bats of the season in that game. Right, so it was this perfect storm of just bad, and then game two, like you said, we rebounded really well. Right, got out to a 13-1 lead and game was kind of all but over, but just they gave us some free bases. We took advantage of it. We played good baseball. So actually really happy with the way they responded.
Offensively, I have to imagine it's no surprise that Ryan Maka, the guy kind of being the engine in that lineup for you guys.
Yeah, he's in an interesting spot, right? I mean, he's that fourth year guy for us now, and wants to play at the next level, but also has his future set as far as he wants to be a physical therapist, right? So he's got that lined up, and I think that sometimes that takes a lot of stress off guys, and don't feel like it's baseball or nothing. And he's got life after it, right? Which a lot of these college guys don't see at this point. So I think he's just relaxed a little bit. He's just letting his talent take over, and he's been off to a good start.
Going to be a physical therapist, smarter than you and I both, Coach. That's
Um,
what that means.
that's easy. Yeah, that's an easy one.
What's allowed Case Sullivan to be a game changer right away in the lineup? Seems like he's a guy that's really come on strong early on.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's getting an opportunity to play, right? We've talked to a couple coaches and like, man, where did he come from, and how did he not play at all last year? And obviously we don't know the situation at the previous school, but I just think for him, he just needed an opportunity to play and play the way he plays, right? He plays a little bit loose, I would say. I'd rather have that type of guy that you got to rein in a little bit than somebody you've got to kind of build up and get going, right? But he's just out there playing and having fun, and it's been working out well for him so far, and we're excited to have him at the top of the order.
Freshman Brian Hatch, 3 hits in that second game against Niagara, part of that team's bounce back. Might we see more of him moving forward given that performance?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he had a really strong fall for us, right? And I think it's interesting. The worst part of the year, the second worst part of the year, I always say, is over Christmas break, right? With summer being the worst, because sometimes these guys come back and they want to be better, right? It comes from an area of wanting to be better and improve, but sometimes the swing changes, right? Sometimes the mechanic change, and they do things that ultimately ends up harming them. So, he had a great fall. Tried to do some things over winter break and kind of struggled when he got back, and I think that's why he hasn't been in there quite yet. But I think the more consistent at bats that he gets, he'll be an everyday guy. We just got to find a position for him to play as well. So, but it was good to see him break out like that, right? Freshman, you never know what you're going to get when the lights come on, and I think he responded pretty well.
You mentioned at the top that Connor Lockwood's been so solid for you guys, last start notwithstanding. But what do you need to see from the pitching staff, not named Connor Lockwood, moving forward to have more success in the mound?
Well, we need to see depth, right? Which means innings, right? So from my standpoint, we have to throw the baseball over the plate, right? I think when you start to look at a lot of those games where the starters haven't given us, man, maybe more than 2 or 3 innings, extremely high pitch counts, right? So early in the year, if a guy's got 70 pitches through 3 innings, it's like we're not gonna press you, right? Because usually that means a lot of runs. And even in Foley's case, I think he had 70 pitches and he gave up 1 run in the 3 innings versus Niagara, and it's like, listen, we need better, man, right? You can't walk four guys and be in trouble every single inning, and we have to have some easy ones. So for him, it's just location and getting the ball down in the zone and continue to attack guys. And I think if we do that, we can stretch those guys out and keep ourselves in games. We can't score 16 runs a game and expect to win. We should win all those, but we can't expect to score 16 runs a game to have to win a game. We have to be able to win those 4-2, 5-3 baseball games.
That's like an interesting second level thing about pitching, right, coach, where it's like, it's great that you can get out of the jams. Like that's step one. But
Yeah.
then step two is like, can we not get in the jams? I feel like that's probably like a little bit of a smaller thing that people don't think about that a pitcher has to deal with as he gets older.
Yeah, and I think the 1, 2, 3 inning has kind of gone by the wayside. It seems like, right? And in the old days, let's say, I guess, 1, 2, 3 innings, 2 outs. Let's go. Let's get right back off the field. And I think sometimes guys tend to relax when they have 2 outs, and all of a sudden that four-pitch walk creeps in, right? And then the rally starts, and that's just how college baseball is. So, yeah, the best way to stay out of those and is to not get in them, right? And for us, it's just to continue to keep attacking the hitter.
Ryan Cruz closed out the win over Niagara. Somebody who's shown pretty well so far. Has he earned maybe a look at being a leverage guy for you guys in the bullpen?
Yeah, 100%. And if you look at him last year, I think he threw once, maybe twice, right? And it was just his completely different mechanics. He's got a different arm slide. Like everything has changed with him. He did himself a service over those two time periods, right? The summer and then ultimately the winter where he came back and he was just really crisp, right? And it's amazing what confidence does for guys. And I think that's, probably something we lack here sometimes is that I think everybody doesn't go into the games confident, right? And when when you lose over a certain period of time, it's hard. I get it, right? It's hard to feel confident. It's hard to feel like you're better than everyone else. When you don't see the success that you want to. But ultimately, that's what makes these guys better, right? And that's what makes oftentimes ACC guys better than Missouri Valley guys or whatever conference or minor leagues to big leagues. I think when you start to go by levels, oftentimes the stuff is usually the same, but it's what you believe inside that usually makes a difference.
Tough couple of weeks coming up for your team. You've got a series with Ohio State, a midweek game against Vanderbilt, series against Illinois. Obviously, that's not going to be easy. What would you like to see from your team over that, 10 days or whatever it is?
I'd like to see close baseball games, right? It's the run rule is great because it saves your pitchers and does all that stuff, but it's terrible to the psyche, right? So, I think that we want to be in these games, right? Because baseball can go any way, and I think if we're in these games, it's amazing when we're winning certain games and the level of swings and confidence when you're down and when guys have their 2 or 3 hits already and they're up 7 runs, there's no pressure on them, but all of a sudden when we flip the script a little bit those at bats get a little bit tighter on the other side. So, that tends to even out the talent level a little bit when pressure gets involved in the game. So, again, I think good starting pitching, holding us, keeping us close, getting some length out of those guys would be key. And then you never know what happens.
I'm curious your kind of approach to when you go through a stretch like that, because obviously, let's just take the Vanderbilt game for example. Obviously, they're incredibly talented. How do you kind of balance the hey, we're here to win games, but at the same time, if the game goes sideways on you, we're talking about Vanderbilt here, one of the 10 most talented rosters in the sport. As a coach, how do you balance that message in those types of games after the fact?
Yeah, well, I think and even before the fact, you kind of talk about, hey, you were playing with house money a little bit, right? I mean, no one's expecting us to win this game, so go out and play free, right? And I think that's the dangerous thing about teams like Vandy even scheduling us is like we're not supposed to win this game by any metric, right? So go out and play free, and I think that's dangerous for teams because there is no tension, right? When you've somewhat surrendered the results and understand that listen, we could lose and we may lose and we should lose. Oh well, let's just go out and play, right? And I think that's when teams become a little bit more dangerous. So, after the fact, you can say that and say like, oh, hey guys, listen, we weren't supposed to win, and look what we did. I mean, listen, we played them last year in a midweek, and I think we lost 3-2, right? It was one of those games that was really close, and that should give the message of look, if we just play really well and believe in ourselves, we can play with any team in the country. 99 out of 100 times do they beat us? Maybe, but that one time could matter to these guys and could help change a program. So I think you go in nice and loose and tell them all the pressures on Vandy to have to put this game away, and we play free.
Looking forward certainly to seeing Valpo during that difficult stretch, seeing how they perform and grow into it. Should be a lot of fun to watch the Beacons in that stretch. Coach, good luck the rest of the spring, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
That's going to do it for this Missouri Valley Conference Baseball Rawlings First Pitch segment. Stay tuned throughout the rest of the season as we interview every head coach in Missouri Valley Conference Baseball as we lead up to the MVC tournament in May at Duffy Bass Field in Bloomington, Illinois. That should be a lot of fun as well. Take care, everyone. We'll talk to you soon.